Okay, so this is a little different for the ones that have been here before. Thank you for coming back. The ones that are new and are guests to the Harmony of Orion and to Tell Like It Was, welcome. We do this once a month where we tell stories and tell it like it was, which is fun all in itself. Because that's where all the good stories come from. But before we start, I have a little video. I've never done a video on screen before, but I would like to show it in honor of some of our locals who have recently passed. So if we could have a moment of silence and look at the screen.
These were all guests on Tell It Like It Was. They were on this stage. There's Roy Yanch. They just blew up a bunch of dynamite at his house.
In the most recent dining.
She was the owner and editor of the Boone Country Connection forever and ever until she sold it to Kathy Miller and Floyd.
So thank you for that. Also, this, I wanted to make sure that I highlight that it's 170 years since, in a tent on the icy Missouri River, German founders of this town organized the Harmonic Society, which brought years of music to Augusta. Many events have been held here at the Harmony of Orion. But Scott, could you please come up?
Sure. These are readers, so I gotta walk with readers on. First, I wanted to start by thanking Paul for putting evenings like this together. It gives us all a chance for a fellowship, talking about the Missouri River Valley, and really just to meet people that are out here that share the same values that we all do. So thank you for doing so.
You're welcome.
My name is Scott Wolf. I'm a board member of Magnificent Missouri. We're a not-for-profit organization that advocates for the Katy Trail and the small communities that are along the trail as well. And it's really events like this that are really something special and we enjoy. So thank you again for putting it on. Tonight I'm proud and honored of our speaker, Bill Davit, to present each family here a copy of Magnificent Missouri's most recent book, The Katy Trails Country Store Corridor. It's about a couple of places, Bill, you know, along a little west of here in the Katy Trail. Here's a tree lore and the history behind those two towns. Bill, you and your daughter Carol have attended many of our prairie events at the Pier Store. In the world of prairies, if you show up, it means something. So that's big for us. And we want to thank you for the inspiration that you provided us in keeping the Pierce Prairie going. And we also want to thank the Missouri Prairie Foundation for designating the Pierce Prairie as a garden of excellence. So thank you all, and we appreciate the opportunity of being here. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bill, can you turn a little bit this way? Let me say something about the book he's giving away. I read it this past fall, and it's very good. Maybe I'm saying that because it covers so many things that I have covered. Native Americans, Daniel Boone, all the Germans, all the Katy Railroad. I've done stories about the Katy. So Dan Burkhart and I are, I think, running in the same rut there. It's a good rut, though. So anyway, it's really good to be back.
Real quick, before I forget, for the locals who know, next month on the 10th will be Jane Leeseman, and that's hot off the press. Take it away, Paul.
Jane is a live wire. I interviewed her in 2019. We did but I'm sure this will be a whole different thing because she's never dull. Anyway, it's really nice to be back. Excuse me that I have notes, because I always tell the people that come do this, I say, don't bring notes. But I feel like this is such a complex subject, and do you realize, yeah, he's complex. And I haven't done this in 6 years. My last interview was someone you saw up there, Ellen Kernenshield. In February of 2020 was the last time I did this. And then COVID struck, so I quit. And then my wife, even to this day, is really afraid of COVID. But Angela was anxious to get it going. The museum was anxious. And I said, do it yourself. And she does. She's just great.
That was his word. Do it yourself.
She has done great things with this. So I really appreciate that she took it over, and my legacy lives on. So anyway, let me just, maybe all you think you know it, tell it like it is, and maybe you know better than I do what it is, but it's just something that I think I dreamed up back in fall of 2018, and I told a few people about it, and they convinced me right away that some people said it'll never work, Paul, but others said, well, do it, Paul, just video it. Be sure you make videos and record all this stuff. So I gave into that because I'm so, let's just have a party kind of a guy. I just thought we could gather like this and have fun. Never dawned on me to record it, but it's a good that people are doing that. And so Tell It Like It Was is a community gathering. We get to know each other better. We learn a few things accidentally. I'm not a historian like Anita Mallinckrodt. I'm a very different animal. But I think history accidentally comes out in these sessions that we have. We have fun, but you'll learn something, I guarantee it. So let me just say a few more things. And I want to, well, Tell It Like It Was, of course, is Angela's end of it. Now I'm more like the written dude. So, but I want to thank a bunch of people. I want to thank Friends of Historic Augusta for jumping up and forcing me to do things their way. Like Catherine Fraser was furious at me when she found out I was going to start interviewing people. Like, why aren't you part of doing it? I mean, I was a member of the museum, but I never dreamed of doing it for them. I was just doing it for the fun of it. And she wanted my cooperation. I gave it to her, and next thing you know, she had them posted on YouTube. And I want to thank her, but I want to thank you guys, because this wouldn't happen without you. And I want to thank alcohol too, because it helps. So anyway, I hope you don't mind that I'm drinking. So listen, see that? I guess maybe you noticed that owl when you walked in. Well, that owl is our sponsor, Augie the Owl, but he cannot give us money unless you give him some money. Like, it's donations, in other words. That helps pay for our web guru and a lot of other things like that. Equipment like that projector right there. So I think I should shut up and get on with this. So here's, this is a bit of a segue, but I know some of you people have this book in your house, Edgar Dennison's Wildflowers of Missouri. So I thought, I knew I'd learned lately that Bill here knows Edgar. So I thought, I'm going to bring that book, and I get it out, and look what fell out of it. This is a piece of cordage made by Bill. He was standing in our front yard when he made this. He made it out of a yucca plants. So, but the reason I met Edgar Dennison working in Ladue with, I like to include the whole world in my stories. I was working for John LaPointe, the most amazing guy that ever walked this town of Augusta. Quite a genius, I think, of sorts. He's a troublemaker, but he was a genius. And he got in plenty of trouble too in his lifetime. But and Edgar Dennison would walk into where we were working in Ladue, because we're working for a rich doctor, and the doctor's wife was quite attractive. And Edgar loved about once a month to stop in there and bring her some pretty wildflowers. And then he would comment about the fact that we were listening to classical music turned up as loud as you could turn it up. Now, people wouldn't think that John LaPointe would listen to classical music, but yes, that's what we were blaring real loud as we would work construction there. And Edgar would always be so pleased that we were listening to Bach and Beethoven, etc. So anyway, I'm about to introduce Bill, but I'm also at the same time introducing Mike Smith. Mike Smith is going to help me ask intelligent questions. Mike's an amazing naturalist. I really, truly think he is the most well-rounded naturalist I've ever met. So he's going to help me tonight, I do believe. So, Bill, here's the story. We've got 50 photographs for you to look at. Now, if you devote 5 minutes to every one, that'd be like over 400. That'd be like over 4 hours, is what I'm trying to say. So I think, on the other hand, if you limited yourself 1 minute per photograph, you'll be done in 50 minutes. You can go home and go see your wife. Okay. So let's start with early bio. Bill?
Can you see the screen okay? Can you see the screen? Yeah. Okay.
That's very considerate of you. What year were you born, Bill?
1932.
Where were you born?
And actually in St. Louis until I was 4. Then we moved to University City.
Yeah. And your dad, I think you told me he had a newspaper route or something like that?
And that was in the day when the newspapers were delivered to homes and apartments. And that was his business there in the Central West End, like from Delmar, Clemens, Cates, Maple, in that area, between Hotamont and further east. I forgot the other one.
I think you must have gone with him a few times then.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Did you like U City?
Oh, yeah. U City was great.
Yeah. Fun place?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But eventually, I know when you went to college, you got a degree in geophysical engineering.
Yeah.
Where did you go to school at?
At St. Louis University.
Oh, okay. So then, because of this degree, you ended up in the Navy measuring the magnetic field all around the world? Or?
That wasn't it. I was a civilian then.
Oh, you were a
I
civilian.
was working for the U.S. Navy Hydrographic Office, and we were measuring the Earth's magnetic field around the world.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Who is in that photo with you?
Oh, that's my wife, Joyce. She lived in Cornwall, England, which is the southwest corner of England. But she was going to school in London, and that's where I met her.
Mm.
And she was starting to be a teacher, and I drug her away from that. We got married in 1961. This looks like Cornwall, yeah. The Jolly Sailor Inn. I haven't seen these pictures for a long time. You can see how narrow the street is there.
Mm-hmm.
Now there she is in Cornwall.
And identify the flower for us.
I can't tell.
Well, your daughter said it's nasturtium.
Okay, that sounds right. Yeah.
She says that is her most treasured photo right there. Possession she has. She has the photo apparently.
Yeah, it's a nice one.
Yeah.
That's our oldest daughter, Catherine, who now lives in California. And this was in High Ridge, Missouri. And I had a real nice garden there. Part of the reason they got so high was the previous owner had a barn there. And this is where his horses stayed. That's why the ground was so rich, and that's why they got so high.
Mm.
Bill, how many daughters do you have?
Three. She's the oldest. And Carol is 5 years younger, and Lisa is 5 years younger again.
Mhm.
She lives in St. Louis.
Bill, tell them what your daughter Carol does.
She is the executive director of the Missouri Prairie Foundation. I meant to bring a couple of those. They also publish a journal called the Missouri Prairie Journal. It comes out 3 times a year.
Oh, there it is.
There's a journal there. That happens to be a picture I took of a spider web.
You know, that journal reminds me that I took Bill into Kate's Coffee one time, and Marge immediately recognized him, Bill, and because of a project. Of course, you might say Marge was in the cleanup business, and this was a super fun cleanup of the Weldon Spring, the TNT zone. And one of the things they finally did was to scrape the earth, because it was all nasty with uranium and God knows what. They had to scrape it all down to not really dirt at all. And then they made a prairie once again, because that area was known as Howell's Prairie before it got all, turned into Howell, Missouri. So anyway, Marge knew this gentleman, and she allowed him to put quite a few of those journals right there in the restaurant at that time. So that'd be
That must be Lisa.
Lisa, yeah.
And way over there is Carol.
You're right.
This is at Shaw Mesa Reserve, where they have a lot of daffodils.
I see the resemblance now between Catherine and your wife, Joyce.
This is one of my favorite pictures. She has a red, and she's eating. You have that red on the top and the red below it. This was a period when I was working on a ranch for about a month in Colorado, and so I had a good chance to grow a beard there.
Reclaim your manly beauty.
Speaking of duty, how about we go to the service?
Yeah, that's the USS Tanner. It was a survey ship. We surveyed off the coast of Turkey from what do they call that town? Iskandarian. From Iskandarian up to Mersin. And we had 2 helicopters on the back part of the.
Oh, sorry, yes, on the back.
Yeah, on the back part, we had 2 helicopters.
And did you use those for your magnetic measuring, or?
No, that was just, they had to fly up sometimes to get a better look at the landscape, I guess.
Uh-huh.
Now this is, on the ship you have different divisions. This is what we call the survey division. From the top, the second from the right, our division officer, Lieutenant House. He was a very strict guy.
No, were you a civilian at that time, or are you in the Navy?
I was in the Navy.
You were in the Navy, okay.
And because we were going to a farm land, they gave us a lot of inoculations because they wanted to be sure we didn't catch something. I don't know how I was able to smile. This is a picture that Brian Haynes made. He made that picture on the right from a photograph of me when we were up in the Arctic. And you can see I'm holding that Budweiser can.
Well, your daughter labeled that picture. She put how many months it was since
It's
your
like
last.
2 months since you had a beard, so you were very happy at that moment.
Yeah.
And
It was a long time ago, let's just say that.
And the painting on the right, like he said, was done by Brian Haynes. I think it was for Bill's 90th birthday party.
Yeah, that's
And
right, yeah.
I don't want to assume that everybody knows who when I say Brian Haynes, do you have any idea who that is? Or I know a lot of you do. But anyway, he's a very, very successful, well-known creative artist. He lives in Washington now. And he's what they call something new regionalist, I think is what his style is called. It's kind of Norman Rockwellish, although it often hits on historical topics. Anyway, he's really something. He can't be here tonight. A lot of Bill's fans cannot be here tonight because they're in Mexico or Europe or on and on and on. I'm going to say I can think of 15 people who aren't here tonight because they're traveling. Anyway, this is cool.
This is when we flew down to Antarctica, and we made one successful landing. The landing field was just a 15-foot thick layer of ice. They have a machine that levels it out so you can make a landing. And we made one successful landing, and then we went all the way around Australia, and we came back to New Zealand. And the second time we landed, we crashed. The co-pilot wanted to land the plane because it would look good in his record. But it's very difficult to land it because everything is white. And you don't have any depth of field that way.
Oh.
And that's how come we crashed there. 2 men were taken up to New Zealand, but it turned out they were okay. But they were knocked unconscious, but they were taken to New Zealand to check them out. I didn't get a scratch myself.
Good.
All right. Moving on to another subject.
Yeah. That's not me, but that's at Shaw Nature Reserve. We planted a prairie, and I had a lot to do with that, planting the prairie. Quite a bit of Missouri was prairie, but it was turned into farmland. But that Shaw Nature Reserve, we actually planted the prairie. And to rejuvenate the growth, you burn it every couple of years. Otherwise, you get too much thatch, and the sun can't get down to the growing tips of the plants.
But no, can you back up to the? Yeah, I think we should talk a little bit more about burning for a lot of reasons. One, I want to know about the Native Americans burning, but also I just wanted you to talk about the danger or whatever. I mean, did you ever have any hairy moments burning prairies yourself?
We had one time we were burning a very large section, and it was up the hill. And if you're at the bottom of the hill and you're burning it sweeps up the prairie very quickly. Luckily, nobody got hurt.
Well, I read somewhere, knowing I was going to interview, I read up a little bit about prairies and the fact that there actually were prairies in the floodplain. Was that because Native Americans maintained these places?
Well, the Indians actually perpetuated the prairies by burning. In many cases, they would burn the prairies to drive the bison, the buffalo, off a cliff. And they would get instant meals for a long time.
We have very close to here. We have one in the floodplain. It's I guess Klondike Park owns it, but it's there what they call Berg's Crossing. Do you have any comments on prairies in floodplains? You have any feeling about them or? or why not? Or
Well, usually floodplain lands are very rich soil, and they would be more valuable for growing crops. There was one prairie in St. Louis, up by the Missouri River, near where the Missouri and the Mississippi came together. In some cases, we would collect seeds to get the original native prairie plants. The other seeds, we would have to go and collect them along railroads where they were still growing, because there was vacant land next to the railroads. And the original prairie was still there, especially along Highway 50.
do you know, across from Matson, you get past the Bob Strickoff's farm fields there. You go a little further and you look like you're walking into a huge river forest, but next thing you know, it's a very savanna-like. Now, can rivers do that, somehow create a situation where only the trees survive and the other stuff keeps getting replaced because of floods? Or it's owned by the Missouri Conservation Department. You can walk back in there. I'd be glad to take you to.
Where's this at again?
Across from Matson, Missouri.
Absolutely.
I drug Angela and her mother there once upon a time.
Just the island on the bottom that we found back in the 60s and 70s. They just got so thrown with sand from the floods and so on, along with the current is and that. It just deposited so much sand there, it wasn't, but the great road crop from that.
So they just gave up eventually.
It wasn't cost people and the River 86 flood pretty well.
Would that buildup of sand make it hard for a lot of things to grow other than certain trees?
It's just so arid and so.
Well, that's because that's what was going on there.
No decent salt there. So the Missouri River just got so down with sand and so.
Okay, and if you don't know who's speaking, that's Tom Kessler there. And I think he's going to be a guest on this someday, right here.
All right, let's move on. We have a
What this is, yeah, this is Julie Wiegand. I threw this in the mix because Julie has her own prairie. She has what they call Lion School. It's over there around Berger. I don't know technically what neighborhood you call that. You can slow down there, Angela. I think we're doing fine for time. Bill is a frequent guest there, she tells me, and he will give people tours like what they're looking at when they're in her prairie. And she's a very successful artist. And the reason I chose her stuff is because every year practically, she comes here and does the plein air event in Augusta. There's always a reason for everything I do. I always try to, pull Augusta together. So I'll even draw people all the way from far away, Washington, Missouri to come here. Bill, do you have any idea what flowers she's depicting there?
That's it's called Liatus pycnostochia. It's called, the common name is blazing star.
Can you back up to the last two, please?
It's a beautiful pink flower.
How about that one?
I can't tell from the letters.
Mike Smith. Who said that? Ron? I know it's hard to work off a painting.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay, well, how about that one?
Yeah, that's the prairie blazing star again.
Do you think she's depicting goldfinches there or something else, Mike Smith?
That looks like goldfinches. Yeah.
Can say something then about goldfinches and thistles, if you would.
Goldfinches and what?
Thistles?
Oh, yeah, goldfinches get a lot of food from the thistle plant. which has a seed attached to like a little umbrella. And they're good at getting into the thistle and getting the seed out of there.
But don't they need the plant too? Don't they use it somehow in their nest? Mike, you know, that's true. Yeah. Matter of fact, they're sort of dependent upon them, I think, if I understood that right. They really want that thistle to build their nest. Okay, do you know, there's Julie right there, Bill. Now, I was telling you about her Lion School. That's an old schoolhouse. It's a stone building. And she has her studio and her gallery in there. But yeah, every year she comes here and paints in Augusta. So what plants are we seeing there? Looks like milkweed maybe.
Yeah, the bottom is milkweed.
What do you know about milkweed?
Milkweed is called that because if you pull off a leaf, the sap looks very white, like milk. And let's see what I'm trying to think about there's bees are attracted to them to get the nectar. And the plant has evolved with the bees, I guess, or the bees have evolved with the plant. And when the bees get their nectar, there's a part of this, there's a seed capsule that gets stuck around the bees' legs. And that's how the plants gets spread around.
Milkweed's an interesting thing though. They draw butterflies for one thing, but also I've noticed the deer seem to enjoy eating them in our yard.
Really?
Yeah. What is the monarch the one that's particularly attracted to?
Yeah, monarch.
Yeah. Yes.
That looks like a plant called rattlesnake master, which was the name that the Indians gave it.
And it makes better. I think you've told me it makes better cordage than yucca does too.
Well, it's much easier to work with.
Easy to work with.
You
And
have to get the dried leaf at the base of the plant.
just stay with that one for a
If you
while.
pull on it separates from the plant. It makes very good cordage.
Okay, and I want to show you something. This piece of cordage that Bill made in my front yard with yucca. I absolutely cannot break it. And I know there's stronger people in this audience than me. Who wants to break this? Somebody? Tom, you look strong as hell. Okay, anyway, I'm still working on it, but it's amazingly stuff. Okay, but here's where I'm going with this topic. I got a phone call yesterday from Franz Mayer, one of your biggest fans. And Franz said, be sure to mention a few things. Well, he wanted me to make sure that I would mention cordage, which we did, and that plant. But he wants you to talk about needle and thread.
Yeah.
He said you see it somehow visibly when you're doing those strands, and you use it to your advantage somehow.
I've heard that term, needle and thread, and the Indians used part of the plant like a needle, and part of the other part of the plant as a thread. So that was something that the Indians used, like for sewing. You could actually sew with it.
Speaking of,
And that would be yucca there.
okay, yucca is more than one with the needle and thread. Since we're on the topic of prairies, they had a prairie day every year, or maybe it was Prairie Week. I don't know how that at Gray Summit there, Shaw Nature Reserve. I think I failed to tell you that he worked 30 years for Shaw Nature Reserve.
No, 20 years.
Well, I got that off the internet. I guess you can't believe everything.
20,
Internet doesn't lie, Bill.
20 years at Shaw Nature Reserve and 10 years at Michigan Road Ecology Center, which is in Ladue.
Oh, yeah, because I've seen that prairie. You took us there.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
They started a prairie there because it was a rich man named, anyway, he thought it would be a good place for students to learn about plants without having to drive all the way out to the nature reserve. It was on Whistler Road, just west of Brentwood.
Yes, I've been there. But every year they would have prairie days there at Gray Summit at Shaw Nature Reserve.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to mention that one of our guests that we've had here, Crosby Brown, would set up a teepee there every time, and he would just be Crosby Brown. You know how that's a job in itself, just being Crosby all the time. So, but a very interesting guy, Crosby. Matter of fact, that's how I met Wallace, Ron Jaskinson. That's how I met among that crowd. Can you believe that? Anyway, so I guess we can move on. Sorry.
That's called compass plant. It's actually a kind of a sunflower. And it was called compass plant because the basal leaves will always be pointing east and west. Yeah, that's right.
And it's
You can actually tell your directions if you know what you're doing by looking at that plant.
and it grows very tall, correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
up to 10 feet.
Also, people, you're all welcome at any point to ask a question. This isn't I know it may seem like it, but it's not my show. It's your show. So blast off, say anything. And that's in Pierce, Missouri, and the Pierce store.
That was planted by John Wingo.
John Wingo.
Yeah.
Well, and
that is different kinds of prairie grass and
well, Dan Burkhart said his favorite plant is in there, and that was, I think he calls it Monardo. I think the rest of us call it bee balm, and yeah, but which had medicinal values.
yeah, that's the one down.
Yeah, down below there.
I forgot the orange one.
Anyway, Pierce, I'm going to put in a plug for them. If Scott's not going to do it, they have music there. Fridays and Saturdays all summer. I guess it starts in the spring, goes into the fall. And the bands cannot use amplification. You just sit down on that porch right there and start picking away or whatever, sawing away. And
Does Greg Crone still go?
yeah, I think he's one of the musicians there. By the way, I invited Greg to come tonight, but I don't know if he got my email. A lot of my stuff goes straight to junk, it seems like. So.
Anything else on Pierce?
I guess not. But let's say something while we had the chance that just upriver from there is a place called Treelore Town. And I'm not going to assume that everybody knows where this stuff is. I know it because I used to go, I grew up in Jeff City, so after I moved to Augusta, I would still go visit my folks, and I'd always take Highway 94 because it was so pretty and there was no traffic. And so I got to know Piers and Treelore. Treelore, I don't think we have a picture today of that, but look at that book that Scott generously gave to you, and that brick building is the Mercantile building. I think it's called. Kathy, am I right? And now it's the Ted Jones. So it's like the whole welcoming center for the Katy Trail, basically. that last person speaking is Kathy Schoppenhorst, and she's an amazing historian. She's especially good on Warren County, but I imagine you know a lot about us. And she works at the Pierce store too. I've seen you there. I've seen you at Tree Lore too. Yeah. Well, I guess we can move on to the next slide.
A question about
Oh,
Pierce Prairie.
yeah, please.
Is that all Missouri plants?
I would think.
Yeah.
And is that a typical patch of prairie that a pioneer would have seen?
Well, the prairies were actually, you could have 150 different species in one, in a small period. Yeah, the prairies used to cover about, let's see, in Missouri it would be, most of Missouri was prairie really.
Most?
Yeah,
It's on the tax and so forth.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so.
And anything 10 miles north is all considered prairie ground. From what some other places 2,000 years ago, they got that far, whatever, and so forth. And that from here on south is all considered tax ground.
Right, and that's why when we started this program, I talked a little bit about Howell Prairie, which connects us back to Marge Oaks. Marge, do you remember anything about the planting of the prairie? The restoring the prairie at the Howell Prairie.
We've got some native plants from the nursery up by the eastern part of Missouri.
Oh yeah, that guy's name was O'Barrel, wasn't it? Oberle, O'Barrel. Frank O'Barrel, I think, was the.
We planted them all around the historic site that we able to see from up there.
there's an interesting connection between the railroads and the forest in Missouri. They cut down a lot of trees to make the rail beds, you know, what do you call those?
Ties, yeah.
Ties, yeah. They cut down a lot of those trees for the railroads. And some of those actually had some prairie plants underneath, and then they were able to spread. So that's an interesting connection there.
It is. That's the one that has many names, like
Yeah, but the bargain,
Bergamot or
yeah, bergamot.
bee balm.
The bergamot was a name of a plant that was used for tea, bergamot tea.
And it's in the mint family. You can see that square stem if you ever go
Yeah,
mess with one and look at it closely. Ah, that guy, that's Dan and his wife Connie, Dan Burkhart and Connie Burkhart. And I think of them as, am I using the right word here, Scott, a philanthropist? Would that be about right? Okay. They're just trying to keep a lot of land natural like it is, and they're putting a lot of their own money and effort into it. I mean, I guess Scott can explain the financial aspects of it more than I could, but it's.
So the Pierce store is really the outpost for Magnificent Missouri. So everything that happens there, all of the proceeds, 100% of the proceeds go directly to Magnificent Missouri. So it's really a great setup for the foundation and to protect the trail.
Okay, I think we can go on, unless someone has a question about Burkhart's or anything. Okay. Yeah, I threw that in there. That's one of my microphones. That is a dragonfly. Can you say, talk to us about insects in prairies, if you don't mind.
well, I should know how many, there's a huge number of insects because they use it for nectar mainly. The dragonflies usually are around ponds. And have you ever watched the dragonflies at Shaw Nature Reserve around the lake, you'll see the dragonflies cover a certain territory. And they consider that's their territory.
Do they fight then?
Um, I think they can scare other dragonflies away from their own territory.
How about birds? Would they attack a bird or?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, let's see what we got, Angela. Oh, General. Now that is in my backyard practically, up on a hill, all by itself. The lone pine, you might say. Can you say anything about remnant pines or?
Are you sure it's a pine?
Oh yeah, there's no doubt. If you were up next to it, you can smell it.
Oh, okay.
You can peel the bark off it. You know, you can.
Well, the only native pine in Missouri is the shortleaf pine. And you see a lot of white pines planted, but they're really a northeastern pine and along the Appalachians. But the white pines are very often planted because they're so beautiful.
Well, what do you think, Mike Smith? It's all by itself. It's not. There's no farms there. No nothing. Just up on a ridge. And Dave, I talked to you about it once, and you said you thought it was shortleaf pine. I don't know. That it was, in other words, our native Missouri pine.
Native, but it's out of its region. It's out of its.
It is out of its region, so it doesn't belong here. It would be in the Ozarks, is what you're saying. Okay.
So.
Oh well, it'll just remain a mystery. But it's pretty. I go worship it once a month. You know, I go up there. Thanks to Bill, there's quite a few people on our side of the river growing figs now, and they're delicious. It's Bill. I think you said you got it from. It's an Italian variety.
Yeah, it was from the Naples, Italy area.
They don't necessarily like Missouri weather all that much. So every year I cut it down to about 2 feet tall and bury it in leaves. And it always comes back every year and it yields a lot of fruit. Actually, I have about 7 or 8 plants, I guess. Now it can turn into a real monster, and actually that's not even full grown yet. It'll get really tall, like, I don't know, 16 feet tall sometimes, but it cannot survive our winter though. So you chop it down, cover it up, and next year it comes back.
How is it that Bill is responsible for that?
Because he's that kind of a guy.
Well, they're easy to propagate. You can take a little branch and bend it down to the ground and take a piece of stiff wire and hold it down and pile up some soil around it. And next year it'll start making a new plant. Yet the other way is to take a cutting and stick it into the ground at an angle like that. And that takes a little bit longer, but that's another good way to do it.
Another nice thing about the variety that Bill gave us is that it does not require a wasp to pollinate them.
Yeah.
And another curious thing, Bill, tell us about the fact that we are eating the flower. That thing is the flower. Do you have any comments on that?
I think it goes way back into the evolution of that plant. But it's almost like a fruit turned inside out, because the flowers are no longer have anything to do with the plant. They're not necessary to make a fruit.
So you couldn't even plant a fig to grow another fig, I guess is what you're saying.
No, you can't plant the fruit though.
No.
The other nice thing about the fig tree is it's not bothered by insects or diseases. So you never have to spray it with anything.
That's true. What do you know about armadillos?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Armadillos, it might be because of global warming. They've been coming further north from their usual habitat. And one it must have got caught by a dog or something that was limping. And we caught it and released it somewhere.
Not my neighborhood, I hope.
Very interesting. You know how they can curl up into a ball.
Yeah, I have seen that.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a white albino armadillo? There was one here in Augusta.
No kidding.
No, I haven't.
Is he still around?
I've seen it twice.
Take a picture.
A couple years ago.
Oh, okay. Who is that guy?
They can jump pretty high too.
They do jump, yeah.
If you stare
And that's how most of them get killed. On the highway, they jump up and get smacked because that's their main way of. They think that's a good thing to do, but it's a bad thing. Otherwise, the car could just drive right over them and they'd be fine.
Dave's standing on the road. What happens when a car comes, Dave?
Yeah. Tom Kessler, what road is that?
How what road is that?
I'm down there by, at Belts and so forth.
Nope. No, that was that's Shell Road, up closer to you. That's probably a struck-off building in behind Dave there. Okay.
Paul, why'd you put this picture in?
Oh, just to screw up with everybody, just to mess with y'all.
Because you knew Dave was going to be here.
No, I did not know Dave would be here.
There you go.
I mean, when I put the picture in, I didn't know it. Eventually, I knew it, though. What is that? This is Stump the professor.
It's a legume.
Yes, yes.
That's the seed pods. I'm trying to think of the name of it.
Senna.
Oh yeah, wild senna. That's it.
And what's the nature of wild senna? Is it edible? Is it?
It's not edible. I'm not sure if it has any particular use.
It doesn't propagate very quickly though, does it? Or anything? I mean, I never see bunches of it. I don't think.
I think it got the name wild senna because senna is used for dyeing, I believe. But I don't think the wild senna is used for that.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh, yeah. What is that? I mean, it's clearly a moth, but what kind of moth? Anyway, that was in my yard last year.
I've seen a few pictures from your house.
Yeah, I can't tell.
Okay.
Do you know Paul?
No, I have no idea.
Anyone else?
My phone could probably identify it, but I haven't bothered.
There's an app for that.
Yeah, exactly. Does that register with you that, or is fungus not your thing? Mike Smith?
Plant around it, so wild medic,
Wild what?
medic, plant around it, black medic.
I don't know that plant.
You saw it, you recognize.
Okay, we'll move on.
Does Bill know?
No, Bill does not know.
That was a curveball.
Yeah. Okay. Bill, Well, I guess you're aware of the new guy in town, the black vulture.
Yeah, I've heard of them, yeah.
Yeah, well, they're prolific in our area, especially up at Klondike Park. And they're not very much afraid of humans either. So you can get right next to them and take their picture. And
Is this near where you live?
yeah.
Wow.
Sometimes they're in my yard too, on occasion. Now I have a friend who's quite the birder, and he said that they like to follow the turkey vultures around because turkey vultures have superior smell and sight. So the black vultures can kind of cash in on that by just following the turkey vultures around. And then it turns out that they're more aggressive though than the turkey vulture. So I guess they just edge their way in and eat the food.
They're the ones that can soar a long time without flapping their wings.
They certainly can, yeah. Now this is a mystery question for anyone here. What do you think you're seeing in this photo? Diane? Oh, okay. That's a good guess, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I was growing corn last year, and that's a corn leaf is what you're seeing. And those seed-like, egg-like things were on there. And it's caterpillar, huh? Ah. Okay, thank you. All right, let's talk about symbiotic relationships. Is there any reason, does it benefit that tree to grow into that stone like that? The tree.
If it can grow there, it probably is a tree that doesn't need a lot of soil or a lot of moisture, like cedar trees.
I remember that tree.
Yeah, it's not far from my house at all.
A lot of moisture in rock there, the cedars come out the hillside and the moisture come out just a foot below and so forth and different deal like that.
Well, I was wondering. And does the tree get minerals out of that stone, possibly, or no? Just moisture. Okay. What's the stone get out of this thing? Okay.
Bill, can I ask? I've got a couple questions about prairies.
Yeah.
You said most of Missouri is a prairie. I assume that means anything that's not a heavily wooded area is a prairie, or is there a certain amount of woodland in the prairies?
Let me think about that a minute. You don't happen to have a prairie journal with you, do you?
No.
Yeah, I'd love to bring one.
Mike Smith, you want to weigh in on this?
If you ever get a Missouri Prairie Journal, my daughter is the executive director and also the editor of that, Carol David. Anyway, if there's a prairie that's up for sale, a vegetable prairie, she'll raise the money to buy it. And they now own about, I'd say about 30 or 35 small prairies. And those are good, even though they're small, they're a good refuge to find a lot of different species. Some of them, if it's a sandy area, you'll find plants that don't need a lot of moisture. So there's a lot to it between the prairies and. But you're right. Your question was about the trees, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, I'm not sure I really understand what a prairie is. The areas that I would call a prairie typically are not very woody. Is there woodlands within a prairie?
Well, if the trees are cut down, there's usually some prairie plants that are hidden there, and they'll proliferate. But if it's just fescue, fescue is a European plant that was brought here for feeding cattle, for cattle to graze. And it's not a very good, it's not as good a plant as a prairie plant for the cattle.
For cattle are all, is it called ruminants?
Yeah.
Animals that eat
Yeah, any
vegetation.
yeah.
So what I'm curious getting to or want to understand is when this area, Marthasville, Augusta, the river bottoms and First Bluff areas in particular, when this was settled in the late 1700s by white settlers, French, the Spanish, and so forth, was this where was the prairie then? Was this prairie, and if it was, is a prairie of a different nature, say up in the towards Forestdale, the flat areas, than it was in the richer soils down at the bottoms?
Between which, did you say Florida?
Forestdale. Forestdale is along Highway 70 corridor.
Oh.
That's flat.
Yeah.
There's less trees. The soil is not as fertile. I understand that the soil here that we have inherited is some of the richest in the world.
Yeah,
on
that's
the
right.
bottoms.
Yeah.
So I would assume that the prairies, if they existed here naturally, might have a different set of plants than would be growing up on the Highway 70 corridor.
Well, actually, that is a good question because, like I said, I did find out that there were some prairies in the floodplain, obviously man-made, and but they could have had different plants in them than what was growing up around, like Darden Prairie is an example, and Howell Prairie. These places.
There are prairie species that are specific to bottoms.
Ah.
The bottomland prairie is a different type of prairie than would be in upland. In fact, one of the more endangered types. But I don't think there were any bottomland prairies here. There were some across the Mississippi, Alton, up in that area. Is that right? I learned this from you a long time ago. Ringing a bell? I remember asking you about that a long time ago, and you explained that to me.
What was the question?
About the bottomland prairies. We didn't actually have any right in this area, but there's historic bottomland prairies along the Mississippi in north St. Louis.
Yeah.
In the prairies, it would have been from here south or south to fire, wherever there were Native Americans managed the fire.
So there was no prairie unless it was
Correct.
created?
Here, yeah.
It is
Or so fire or a lack of precipitation. As you get west, it's drier. It's too dry for forest, and so the prairies will go. If you get out in Kansas and that area, it's too dry for forest. Here, the prairies are probably fire.
But going way back before the pioneers, fire deliberately being set by the Native Americans. Well, where would those prairies around here have been? Would they been on the ridge tops?
Was complicated, yeah. Yeah, ridge tops, and then there's a continuum from the prairie to forest with woodlands and savannas.
Are prairies normally large in area, or were they small, scattered? Are they connected?
That's a good question. Yeah, good question.
There was a connection between the Indians and the prairies. The Indians would like to burn the prairies because they could get around better moving around. If the grass is 6 feet high, it's hard to get around. If you burn the prairies, you can get around better. And also, if you burn the prairie, the bison would come to eat the prairie grass. And you could see them better if it was all burned out.
Yeah, perfect.
Somebody trying to tell me something? Kathy.
One of the features of prairie plants is the very deep roots. And so that during dry times, they can still live because of those deep roots. During very wet times, they pull the water down into the soil and drain that soil faster than areas that don't have those deep roots.
You bring up a good point about the prairie plants have very deep roots. And over hundreds and even thousands of years, that's what made the prairie soil so rich for agriculture. And that's why so many prairies were made into farmland, because of the rich soil and the deep roots.
So with older, the original farming methods that they would have had when they're trying to, either the Native Americans or the early settlers, not American, because this was not America at that time, but those people trying to convert a prairie to a farmland, did those deep roots that you're talking about and some of the vegetation that would be inherent in those prairies, I'm probably making this complicated, but did they present an additional problem to the original farming methods where when I assume when you burn a prairie, the roots stay there, that's how they come back. And that's one of the revitalization methods. So when they're trying to convert this to farmland, did that present a problem because the native plants keep coming back, or are the prairie plants very sensitive and easy to eradicate so you can farm?
They'd be pretty easy to eradicate if you're plowing a prairie, or even disconnect.
Which, of course, the Native Americans wouldn't have a disc.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. There's a lot of farmers here, I'm sure, that might have some idea when disc and modern equipment came around, but how did they farm in a prairie area? Did they?
Well, the Indians, I don't think they farmed much at all, except for, well, I take that back.
Well, the Navajos did, I know.
Yeah.
No, it's you know where that's over the Buddhists' land over there nearby here. I just wondered if you knew that flower, for instance. Seems to like water.
I can't see it there.
All right. This was just purely random and general stuff I was throwing at you.
There's that turn on.
Ah, that's interesting, however. And Ron Chaskelson could tell us more about that. Except he's gone. He fell asleep. Oh, gone. There he is. Look at this, Ron. This picture of with the name Joyce Davit on it.
It's an antique.
It's an antique. And we found it where? You found it, rather.
No, Bill and I found it. It's in
Okay.
Arboretum. Bill was digging around, and he said, "What is this?" And I picked it up, and it had his wife's name on there. Of course, just a coincidence. As all his life.
I think she was doing some work part-time for the garden. She did some work for them.
And you guys lived, the whole family lived right next to Shaw Nature Reserve?
Well, we lived in Great Summit.
On the ground.
On the grounds or just outside the grounds?
Yeah, it was, oh yeah. We did live on the one edge of the artery, down Great Summit Road.
All right, let's go to the current bio. Mr. Bill.
Okay, what are you reading there, Bill?
I think that's this book here.
No, it's not that book. Right, it's Robert Walser.
A waltzer.
Yeah. Has anyone ever heard of Robert Walser? No, that's what I thought. Okay, because Bill only reads stuff that none of us have ever heard of. He was the one that wrote in minutia, and he would write on napkins, and he would write his stuff any way he could. And his stories are kind of like about nothing, but yet they're about everything at the same time. Very unusual fellow. Okay, moving right along. You are making cordage there, are you not?
Yeah, I'm teaching some kids how to make cordage.
What plant are you using that day?
It was probably rattlesnake last year because that's the easiest one to use.
It kind of looks like your porch there.
Oh, wait a minute.
That's Gene.
Oh yeah, that's our porch.
Yeah.
I'm probably showing my grandson.
Ah, very good. You're a good grandpa then.
There's a woman that lives out Highway 50, and she has
Oh, you told me about that. Sheep farm, right?
and she has a prairie there too.
Ah.
It was original prairie, but it was a lot of non-native things in it too. And I was telling people about prairies, and those bottles are just to hold some plants that they could look at, and I could explain to them what they were.
Well, I saw the fig.
Back to figs again.
Sure.
And that's, I was telling you how I cut them down, I'm going to cover them, bury them in leaves for the winter, which sounds like an awful lot of work, but still the leaves come in handy then for my compost pile. You know, all the leaves will get used again in my garden. So,
We have shared a few of those figs, Paul, and they are fantastic.
well, it's all thanks to Bill.
Yeah, thanks, Bill.
That's the painting that Brian Haynes made from a picture that.
That's from the snow last week, by the way. That's
That's our visitor.
very recent photo.
And there's your wife again.
That's nice.
Bill told me something interesting that I said, your wife is British. He said, no, the people from Cornwall don't like to be called British. They prefer to be called Cornish. So.
I met her when, well, that's a long story, but I was on a trip with the Navy Hydrographic Office. And this one trip, they had an airborne section and they had a marine section. And I decided to go with the marine section. And they measured the magnetic field from boats by pulling behind them a magnetometer. Anyway, she was in London learning how to be a teacher. And that's where I met her. And she never did become a teacher. So I deprived them of a good teacher.
Oh. Well,
That's all.
slideshow. Are there any questions?
Is Johnson Brush a prairie grass?
Ah, Johnson's grass. Yeah, Bill, tell us about Johnson's grass. Or Tom Kessler, you can tell us about Johnson's grass.
Yeah, Johnson grass is a non-native grass. It was introduced to this country. Then people found out it wasn't, the cattle didn't like it much anyway.
Ah,
So it's a pest plant, you might say.
Bill, could you describe what a glade is? And do we have glades in our area?
Yeah, there's a very good glade at the Shaw Nature Reserve. It's an area where you'll see the rocks on the surface. So the soil is very thin. And the only plants that can grow there are certain plants that can get by with less moisture. Like there's one that's called prairie dropseed, and there's side oak straggler grass, and also a little blue stem. But you wouldn't find big blue stem because it needs too much soil and too much moisture.
makes sense, yeah.
Do we have glades around here?
Yeah, there's a really
other
good glade
than
at
that
Shaw Nature Reserve.
Is that unusual? That one is unusual for our area?
Well, there's more glades than you might realize. It's any place that there's a real thin soil. That's where you'll find glades.
Is there anything you want to add?
Oh, yeah, I just want to ask Scott Wolf one more question. Is there anything you want to tell us about Dutzau? Or would you rather not?
Yeah. And so my wife and I purchased the Dutzau Valley last year, and our goal is to really, without disparaging anybody, we're changing the way Dutzau really looks. And it's all about community, it's about the farmers, it's about the families, and this is really what we want to bring back to the community. And so we're turning Dutzau into a deli. They're gonna serve food. The bike shop has already been rented out for 2 years with an extended 2-year lease. And we're also bringing a coffee trailer, an Airstream coffee trailer to the roundabout there. So really, I was sharing this story with a gentleman earlier. It's not really an investment for us because the return on our investment is probably 50 years. So if you look at it as an investment, it's really not, but we're doing it for the community. We think it's something that's needed a lot. And so this is what my wife and I have done, and we've made a decision to move forward with this, and we really want to bring it back to Dutzau and the Katy Trail community. So if you aren't following us on Instagram or Facebook, please do. You can follow our entire story, everything that we say and do. We have photos of the deli being built out. We're finding, during any construction process, we're finding unfortunate scenarios like the entire concrete pad has to be replaced. And so you can follow the entire
Okay. Angela. Okay. And just to connect the dots, Liberty Hall connect the dots to Liberty Hall in Washington, Missouri. If you would, isn't there a connection with Deb Griffin or Giffen?
Oh, so that's true. Sorry, I couldn't follow.
Yeah, I'm hard to follow.
The deli has been. I interviewed a lot of people, and for the deli spot to serve food, and we wanted to be sure that they followed the same vision that we did for the deli. And so I interviewed 4 different companies, delis in Washington and around the area. And when I met Deb Giffen, she's an investor in Washington, she owns Smallest Nest, it was really a natural fit. Deb is an incredibly successful individual. She's built an amazing coffee deli shop in Washington. And it was, within 10 minutes, I knew this is who I wanted to be on Dutzau land. And so I know that you'll all enjoy it. Deb's gonna run the deli and she's going to run the trailer as well. So the deli should be open March, April-ish. Cross your fingers, hope nothing else goes wrong. And the trailer will be delivered. It's being built right now in Ohio. So we bought a 31-foot Airstream, and it's completely empty. It was gutted out totally to it's flashing. Everything's gone, and they're building it out to be a specific coffee trailer. So that should be delivered in April, May, hopefully, if all goes well. But it's really an exciting project for us. And again, it's all for the community. We want to give back. We think that there's been a lot of, I'll call it, things happen in the last few years that have been damaging to the area. And we want to do exactly the opposite for people and bring things back. That's just my opinion, sorry.
Okay, that's okay.
So, thank you all.
Thank you.
And thanks for all your books too.
Any last word, Paul?
Go home, everybody, and sleep well. And come back next month for Jane. Jane Leisman next month. It'll be good.